Hey there, Gemini. How are you doing? This is a forecast just for you. Completely Gemini video, this one. So this is part of my new forecast schedule, which is every 2 weeks, going from new moon to full moon and then from full moon to new moon. So we're coming up to the new moon in Pisces. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today is really answering how you can steady yourself. One of the things I noticed straight away, right off the bat, is that right now it's really difficult to know exactly which direction you're going in. Now, obviously, with Gemini, which is a sign that's mutable, and it's got like the twins. The twins seem to be going in completely different directions. So what I'm going to do in this short forecast is pace you through how you might want to manage this time of the new moon right the way to the full moon, which, by the way, is a total lunar eclipse on the 14th of March, and talk about how you can get both of your twins moving in the same direction. Okay. So let's have a look. First thing to focus on is at the start of this forecast, which is from the 28th of February. So this is the new moon in Pisces. We're in a waxing moon phase. What this means is we're starting from a place of no light. So I always see this as an opportunity. It's like the slate has been wiped clean and you can create from that space whatever you really want to bring in. Then the light slowly starts to come back, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we're at the time of the full moon. Like I said, it's going to be a total lunar eclipse, a massive one. It's the first eclipse of 2025 as well. But you see, midway, there is this point that's happening around the 7th of March. That's our midpoint where it's equal in dark and equal with light. It's almost like what happens at the time of the equinox, where we have equal night and day. What's going on here is we are called in to make some challenges and some decisions. So in this growth cycle that we're on right now, what I see for the first week in particular is that you're creating a vision for the future of how you would like to move forwards. And then in the second part, after a little bit of a realignment, which happens around the 7th of March, you're then starting to take purposeful actions to bring about the thing that you are wanting to create in your life. So we're in a growth phase. It's time to feel a little bit more optimistic and to start putting your feelers out to be creative for yourself. So that's the first clue. If we look at it in terms of a diary, I'm just going to quickly point out right off the bat some of the key times for you being a Gemini, because Mercury is obviously a really important planet. So we're starting with a new moon in Pisces on Friday the 28th. As you can see, the 7th of March is exactly a week later, and then the eclipse is 2 weeks from the 28th. But in between that time, we've got on the 2nd of March, Venus is going retrograde. That's quite big. But Mercury, your ruling planet, is making a conjunction to Neptune. So I'm going to be talking about that. Mercury is going into Aries, so it's changing signs on the 3rd. That's also very important. And then the other real big Mercury thing is the conjunction with Venus on the 11th. There are a couple of other things that are playing out, but these, I think, are really important given that Mercury is your ruling planet. So without further ado, let's have just a little bit of a closer look. Let's go. Right. So here's the chart for the new moon. And then we've got the chart from the 7th straight after, and that's leading us into the time of the total lunar eclipse. Now, let's go back. The new moon itself, which is setting the scene for these 2 weeks, is really coming up here in this part of your chart to do with your career, your standing in life. What is it you're trying to achieve? Like, what do you think your end goal is? Like, what direction are you heading in? That's the big key. And so this new moon is absolutely getting you into the space of creating a new set point. It's asking you to be very creative, to be dreamy, to expand your current ideas outside of facts and features. So for instance, your Gemini energy and also let's not forget about Virgo. I mean, Virgo is another Mercury ruled sign, and Virgo is going to be important because that's where the total lunar eclipse is. But right now, your Gemini energy, which is like Mercury led, really likes to be quite concise, to see the bigger picture and the smaller picture, in fact, with the Gemini kind of focus. But you're looking at the facts, you're using words, you're being quite rational to create your your new leap forwards. But actually what this new moon is suggesting to you is it's time to connect in deep inside yourself and try and talk to your soul if you can hear it. What would your inner child say? What would your higher self say? And maybe what would be really helpful is to check in with your inner childhood dreams. So if you go back to when you were a child, a bit of time travel here, what did you want to be when you were younger? What were the qualities that you wanted to have as an adult? And then if you were to think, okay, if I was getting close to my deathbed, how would I like to be remembered? So we're getting a sense of the values that you've got, the values that you want to bring in and live your life by. Often along the way, we lose sense and we lose track of what our key and core values really are. And so this new moon, which is dreamy, it's creative, and it is wanting to get you seen, it is wanting to move you forwards a little bit, but it's asking you to be more in the creative space rather than the rational. Now, also your ruling planet, and this is a little bit interesting. It's a great opportunity, I think, between the first and the third in particular. Mercury is already in a conjunction with Saturn. So, your ruling planet is actually doing a bit of scheming already and has been thinking about structures that you want to lay down and changes that you need to be able to feel like a grown up and to feel completely in control. But Mercury is also coming into an alignment, a conjunction, an exact conjunction with Neptune and also the North Node. So between the first and the third, that is really, really strong. And yeah, on the first, yeah, just double checking I got that right. So between the first and the third, that's really, really strong. Now, Mercury in a conjunction with Neptune. Neptune's been in this part of your chart for a really long time now, really creating a sense of spaciousness in terms of your career and possibilities. And it can bring up quite a bit of confusion. You might have appeared to drift a little bit. You might not have got so clear on your career goals. It tends to create a sense of possibly dissolution of your public self. It can sometimes take you out of the public eye unless you're being really, really creative or really, really soulful and developing those things which are very sort of Neptunian themes. Neptune isn't necessarily a planet that you would associate with being great at business necessarily, unless it is a creative one, i.e. like singing, dancing, acting, or spirituality, which absolutely ticks all the boxes for Neptune. Humanitarian things can also come under the sort of like oneness, the unconditional love kind of vibe of Neptune. But again, humanitarian things aren't necessarily known for raising lots of money unless they're sponsored by governments and great big trust funds and things like that. So, Neptune doesn't necessarily get a great rap, but when Neptune ideas, are going in the right direction, then there's absolutely limitless, it's unlimited potential, because Neptune is like this drop in the ocean. And so Mercury in a conjunction with Neptune, I think, is bringing up lots of creative ideas for you, not just for your career, but for like the way you want to live your life. And this is what I would stress, because between the new moon and the total lunar eclipse, the moon is coming right the way through this part of your chart. These are two very important houses, this one up here about how you stand in the world, and this, your very sort of private place, how you really are in your actual private life. And so this is creating a bit of turmoil. This is suggesting that there is a big change that you're coming to in your life. That this, at this point from the 7th, the moon has already crossed into this latter path of his journey, coming up towards this total lunar eclipse configuration on the 14th. And so you are going on this kind of journey of recreating the ideas of your life based on your values and your spirituality, And if anything, over this next couple of weeks, to me, it feels like you're sowing seeds and then growing the possibilities, developing the ideas of how you want to live. And then around the total lunar eclipse, it is a change point. This is encouraging you to change and to have a deeper vision. Now, this is in many ways, this is actually getting you back to your old patterns from before. So, when I've said right at the start, I'm going to help you to feel like your twins are facing in the right direction and not going off in different directions. One foot could be this is where I want to be, in the public domain and in my career. And you've got another foot saying, yeah, but I really want this privacy and I really want to balance this. It's a hard act to balance. But there are definite signs within your chart to say that what you need to know right now, you've always known. In fact, you've already got the skills, or you've already got the ideas already laid out. And what is suggesting that to me is the fact that Pluto here is in quite a powerful position, definitely getting you navel gazing over the next 20 years. Is, you're coming into a time of incredible learning, and the possibility of movement. This feeling that movement and transformation can create some shifts. Uranus in the 12th as well is hinting that you may well need to kind of travel far and wide to soul search and get fresh ideas. But whether you're physically traveling or mentally traveling and going to whole new territories inside your brain is a whole other ball game. However, both of them right now are absolutely linked into the South Node, really showing that there is this is all coming from an old desire and possibly a time when you already knew your answers. So whatever I think is going on right now that's causing the confusion as to which camp do I stand in, actually, you need to go right back. And this is where the next part of the journey is coming in. So if I just go to the original chart, on the 2nd, Venus is going retrograde. Now, when Venus goes retrograde, and this is quite a big deal, she'll be straightening up again and going forwards from the 13th of April, in which time, between the 2nd and the 13th of April, Mercury will have started his own retrograde on the 15th of March. I'll obviously be talking about in the following forecast, and he'll be going back to this spot where he is right now, funnily enough. So you are coming up to a time of real deep recalibration, and what you're setting in motion right now, whilst it feels like it's going to be answered, or you're going to be stepping forwards at the time of the total lunar eclipse, actually I think a lot of the answers are still ongoing. However, it's important that you're having these inward conversations. Venus going retrograde, she gets us recalibrating, rethinking all of our values. So she's asking you about how you value love and money in particular. What do you like currently about your love life and your financial life? What have you liked in the past about both of those? Nostalgia is a real thing, with Venus retrograde. So I think you might be pining after past situations where things felt a bit easier. However, Venus in your chart also has some relevance. She's the ruler of your 12th house, and she's also the ruler of your 5th house. And what to me that is talking about is your intense creative and spiritual nature. So again, there's another nudge that when you're looking at recreating your life from a spiritual perspective and a soul-led perspective, and to channel back into who you were when you were tiny and what your needs were presenting as then, which were really unadulterated, because since then you've grown up and you've had shame, blame, embarrassment, and all sorts of different things layered on top of you. But as a small child, you kind of knew what you were about, most likely, before all the kind of enwrapping, the enwrapment of ideas came around you. So yeah, you are entering into this phase of rethinking. But anyway, let's take it back to stepping through these next 2 weeks. What I really see is you're creating your vision, like tuning into the past, thinking about love and money and when they have worked, and then thinking, okay, in terms of how I want to move forwards, I need some soul. I need something personal. I need something that's much more aligned to who I really am. And I think it's important that that aspect of you, that core you from childhood, or that part of you that you think you were born with, is coming out. Now, over these 2 weeks, you will be adequately inspired and also challenged along the way. For instance, around this point, just as the moon is going into Gemini, you're going to get quite challenged, because at that point, the moon is going to be, coming into this time where, it's going into your first house, which is about you. So things feel very close to home, and you're wearing your feelings on you're wearing your feelings. It's just really obvious how you're feeling. It's hard to hide it. Everything is becoming conscious. But later on, just as between the 3rd and the 5th, as the moon is about to go, the 5th and the 7th, as the moon is about to go into the sign of Cancer, then the moon is going to be in a T-square to the North and South node. And so there is this feeling that you have to complete on the past to be able to move forwards. So to me, it's like, okay, what do I like from the past? What can I learn from the past? But I also need to recognize the past is the past, and how can I use this information but to step into my future. So you're not suspended in space anymore, but you are going to take a step forwards. So I really see that this journey, these next 2 weeks, is like a trip down memory lane. Venus, like I said, is going to be helping you do that. Mercury, in his connections with the North Node, and Neptune are also going to be enhancing the intuitive side to come out. Last couple of things I want to share. The Sun trine Mars on the 8th is going to be really quite helpful. You're going to get some real good bits of intel in terms of, it looks even easier from here. You get some real good intel in terms of your career and earnings, and possibly start sensing your pathway forwards. It might be that doors open up. I think Mars is in quite a strong position right now. You might find that things you were working on just before December the 6th, when Mars went retrograde, are coming up right now, in this week ahead. Now that Mars is going direct again, I think we're kind of cooking on gas. So you may well find that life is giving you some really good clues and tips, as to what is going to move you on significantly. And then leading up to the actual lunar eclipse itself, the Sun also does make a conjunction with Saturn, which is really strong. I do think it's going to start cleansing some of your ideas about the past, about what has shamed you. You might find that one of the things that has held you back from really embracing your intuition and in using it with your amazing grasp of the rational world as well, and combining them to be a real success. I think one of the things that has held you back is possibly the sense of embarrassment and shame, where you've been yourself, but maybe the world hasn't been ready for you. What I'm here to say right now, Gemini, is I think the world is ready for you to start to come forwards. So that's where I'm going to leave this. We are coming into this time, the total lunar eclipse. It's bringing you home. It's bringing you back to yourself. And that is the nudge. Like, who are you? And are you ready to reveal who you are? Now, I hope you found that short little forecast helpful for you for the next couple of weeks ahead. What I would love to suggest to you right now is that I've created another couple of resources for you. All you need to do is follow this video and also look at the links below, and there will be a Gemini love forecast for you and a Gemini money or career and ambition forecast for you as well. So stay tuned for that. Hope to catch you another time. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye for now.